genre.
Hello and welcome back to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who, The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Cass Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing Arc of Infinity, the Fifth Doctor's 8th story.
So, Arc of Infinity, which is the first episode of season 20.
Wow.
Which aired in 1983. This season was all about kind of celebrating the 20th anniversary of the show. All leading to the 5 Doctors, which would have aired at the end of the year. Season 20 aired 9 months after the end of season 19, which was Time Flight. So this is 9 months later is when this is airing.
That's a long time.
Yeah, quite a long time.
Even weirder.
This is like right at the start of 1983. January 3rd is when this aired. They were back into a twice a week format. Previously Mondays and Tuesdays. This season, they would be Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So each 4-part story would only take 2 weeks to be released.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is written by Johnny Byrne, who previously wrote The Keeper of Traken. However, something that Eric Sayward, current script editor, didn't know about Johnny Byrne is that The Keeper of Traken, a story that Eric Sayward liked a lot, was that it was actually heavily rewritten by his predecessor, Christopher Bidmead, the script editor at the time. He was under the impression that Johnny Byrne wrote a really great Doctor Who serial, when in fact the serial that he liked so much was rewritten heavily by the script editor. But not knowing this, he ignorantly hired Johnny Byrne to write another story for this season. He was, however, there were like a few requirements that he would have to hit because they were envisioning this to be the season premiere of season 20. They were right. It ends up being that. But as a result, he had to write a few things into his story prior to pitching the concept. So first, John Nathan Turner wanted to take Doctor Who overseas for the second time in its history. Back in 1979, City of Death had been filmed on location in Paris, and they hadn't done anything like that since. John Nathan Turner felt that Amsterdam would be as affordable as Paris was at the time, which was extremely affordable to shoot in as a location for a European production. And since BBC was already had a relationship with Amsterdam because of their soap opera Triangle, which took place in Amsterdam and shot in Amsterdam, they decided to use Amsterdam as the locale. So he was told, Johnny Byrne was told that he would have to include Amsterdam. However, in order to justify the trip to the BBC, Byrne would have to make Amsterdam a key aspect of the storyline that he was writing. It couldn't just be a location for the sake of being a location. It needed to be part of the plot. He also had to bring Tegan back into the fold. The cliffhanger of Time Flight at the end of season 19 was that Tegan was going to go back with the Doctor and was left behind by accident. And apparently that was supposed to be a cliffhanger. I don't know why it was a cliffhanger. It never read like a cliffhanger to me. It always just felt like, oh, they're writing her out of the show. But apparently that was never the case. They just wanted a cliffhanger because they knew that between season 19 and season 20, there would be a 9-month gap, which, as we discussed, was kind of a long time for Classic Who. And so they were scared that people would just not tune in when it came back. But obviously everyone is going to want to know what happened to Tegan. So that's why they did that. I don't know that it necessarily worked, but that was the case. So he had to reintroduce Tegan into his storyline as well.
Because this episode opens with the Doctor's like doing chores. He's doing spring cleaning.
Right. Well, we'll get there.
But he's not like, oh, crap. Catherine O'Hara close up, Tegan.
Sure. Well, I think he left her on purpose because he wasn't aware that she wanted to come back, because all she ever did was complain about staying behind.
Right.
Like, I want to go back to Australia. I want to go back to my job. And then it was at the end of the episode, if I remember correctly, Tegan was like, oh, I realize I don't want to stay. I want to keep traveling with the Doctor, but it was too late and they had left. They bailed.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot of Time Crash.
It was the super racist one with the Master in yellow face.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that the one where they go to Heathrow?
Yep.
Okay. It's all coming.
You betcha.
It's all coming back to me.
So Byrne decided that he had already been toying with an idea for a story that wasn't a Doctor Who story necessarily. But he was thinking about writing up a story just on his own, like an original story about aliens using a bridge between dimensions that he was calling the Arc of Infinity to cause time shifts in London. And he was like, what if we took that concept, relocated it to Amsterdam? Tegan could be on holiday there, which is how she stumbles on all of this. And that could be the storyline. And Sayward was like, all right, fine, sure. So Byrne submits a storyline. And much like the alternate storyline of the previous episode that we discussed, I'm going to read what his original storyline was.
Okay.
So, the time of Neiman. So, the Doctor is suffering nightmares about his regeneration, which was actually a precursor to the arrival in our universe of an entity called the Avatar, who takes on the Doctor's form and goes to Amsterdam. Operating there as Naaman or Neiman, a name recycled from the Keeper of Traken, the Avatar begins to take control of human minds, striving to create a form in which it will be able to permanently maintain its existence. The Doctor and Nyssa discover Neiman's plot when they land in a future version of Amsterdam, which is populated by robot guards called sweepers, the elderly resistors, and barbaric anarchs. Realizing that history has been altered, they travel back in time to present-day Amsterdam. There, the Doctor discovers that Time Lord regeneration is the mechanism by which the Avatar is made manifest. The Avatar is defeated when the Doctor relives his most recent regeneration. So Nathan Turner and Sayward read this and they were like, no, this is not good. And all this is confusing. And, I don't know. It's a lot. There's a lot here. And, they also felt that Amsterdam was incidental to the plot rather than part of the plot, which is what they had wanted, because that was the only way the BBC was going to approve going to Amsterdam. So, all of this was changed, and they decided hey, let's take out the regeneration stuff. Let's take out the nightmare stuff. Let's add Omega instead of the Avatar, and try again. So he writes a story called The Time of Omega. And as his scripts are coming in, Eric Sayward is reading them and is suddenly realizing that Johnny Byrne was not the writer that he thought that he was, and has to inevitably heavily rewrite this story to become the Arc of Infinity that we end up with. The Time Lords weren't even involved in Burns' script. That was all added in Eric Sayward's rewrite. So,
wow.
Yeah. So all of that stuff was changed. This is pretty much an Eric Sayward page 1 in a similar fashion to the Pyramids of Mars being kind of a page 1.
I was just going to say 2 in a row.
Yeah, 2 in a row. So all of that happened, and then a couple of other notables about this story. Number one, we have in the role of one of the Time Lords. We have Alfred himself, Michael Gough. Yep. Yeah, his second time in Classic Who. His first being in the Celestial Toymaker, and then again here. Alfred from the Batman movies, from the Tim Burton ones. So he's in this. And also a very pompous character named Maxwell, played by none other than the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker, which apparently not Eric Sayward, but John Nathan Turner liked Colin Baker so much in this, he started inviting him to parties and things, and then as a result of him befriending him outside the show, is how Colin Baker eventually became the Doctor. He almost turned the role down because he was afraid that by taking this role, he wouldn't be able to play the Doctor, and then somebody pointed out how pompous that was. That like you're probably never going to play the Doctor. That's stupid. You're being offered a role on Doctor Who. You like Doctor Who. You should play the role, because the odds of you becoming the Doctor are so small. And he's like, oh, you're right, of course. So he took the role, thinking, well, that's it. This is my run on Doctor Who, and then eventually became the Doctor, immediately following.
And yet, if he had not taken the role, he wouldn't have met Eric Sayward.
John Nathan Turner. Eric Sayward hated him.
Oh, okay.
John Nathan Turner, though.
He wouldn't have met John Nathan Turner. John Nathan Turner wouldn't have been like, this dude can party.
Yeah. It's true.
It's a funny old thing time.
Yeah. So let's see. So all of that happened. A couple of other things. Let's see. There's one notable bit about about John Nathan Turner on location in Amsterdam. Was consistently in like the chase, the scenes where the cast, especially the main cast, are sort of like running around after Omega in part 4. He had to stand just off camera most of the time to keep people from walking into the frame, into the shoot, because Amsterdam couldn't care less about Doctor Who, and so they didn't really recognize anything, though they were interested in like a shoot happening, but they didn't know what it was, and they kept getting in the way, so he had to constantly keep people out of the frame. And he is actually in the last scene of the episode, he is seen on camera in the background keeping extras away. In the last scene between Tegan, Nyssa, and the Doctor, as Tegan reveals that she's going to be traveling with them once again. You can see him in the background just sort of like pacing back and forth, keeping his eye on extras versus looky-loos.
That's funny.
And his white jeans, his trademark white jeans. So there's that. And then last of all, at a certain point in the story, they apparently accidentally found themselves in the red light district of Amsterdam, where multiple times the actress who plays Tegan was mistaken for a sex worker. And I can't imagine that it doesn't have anything to do with what they made her wear in this. But yeah, that's Arc of Infinity. It begins a season of returning villains this season, but all of the returning villains or returning characters, most of them anyway, tend to be not long running character like villains. They all tend to be like fairly recent ones or ones that just popped up once before. And Omega is one of those villains, previously being in the show in The Three Doctors, the very first anniversary special. So he hasn't been around since the Third Doctor's era, but he's back. Omega.
And he's pissed.
He is. And rightfully so.
Sure.
Look at him. Look at what they did to him.
Look what they made me do.
Arc of Infinity Part 1. Written by Johnny Byrne. Directed by Ron Jones. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date January 3rd, 1983. On a planet called Gallifrey, an unknown Time Lord steals biodata extract from the Time Lord Matrix, housing information and even memories from every Time Lord who ever existed. The unknown Time Lord delivers this extract to a projection of a creature in another universe, trapped behind a curve between dimensions known as the Arc of Infinity. The creature hopes the stolen biodata of a Time Lord called the Doctor will allow it to breach the Arc of Infinity and cross over into our universe. Back on the TARDIS, the Doctor and Nyssa are in the middle of some much-needed TARDIS maintenance when the Doctor is nearly possessed by a mysterious antimatter creature. The Doctor knows something like this is only possible with the use of his biodata, so he travels with Nyssa to Gallifrey to get to the bottom of things. On a planet called Amsterdam, two empty-headed 20-somethings, aimless and in love, decide to spend the night in an ancient crypt beneath the city because they paid for 3 nights at a hostel instead of 4. One of the youths, Colin, sees a mysterious creature inside of a crypt and is zapped by a teleportation ray. His friend Robin wanders Amsterdam looking for him. Back in his hometown, the Doctor has a confrontation with a chancellery guard named Maxwell, who shoots the Doctor with a laser gun.
We open up on the planet Gallifrey, where some not Time Lords, right? They're at like a mission control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all Time Lords are Gallifreyan, not all Gallifreyans are Time Lords.
Shibogans, Cass?
What?
Is that what they're called? Shibogans?
I have no idea.
Okay. In Timeless Children, the master's like, oh yes, the Shibogans turned into Time Lords. They evolved out of some, like, okay, then
I don't
anyway.
remember this.
So yeah, there's like an antimatter creature that's like trying to get into our universe.
Mm-hmm.
He's
trying to reverse his polarity.
He's trying to reverse his polarity of his neutron flow.
Yeah. You know, one thing I noticed this time is like when they show the Time Lords all like, you know, talking about, you know, things.
The threat, the coming threat,
the looming threat, with their giant collars and stuff. This is the first time I've ever made the connection of how much they look like the future people in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Specifically that first one.
Mm-hmm.
They have very Time Lord vibes,
right.
Which I've never really connected before. I just was like, oh yeah, future people, whatever. But
yeah, there was a really groovy moment early on where the first thing you see is the silhouette of their like Talon-like shoulder armor dress. And it was really cool because like I knew that was a Time Lord from like its shadow. And I don't know, shout out to, I guess, Russell T Davies for when he reintroduced the Time Lords in End of Time, going full on unabashed, like they're wearing the robes with the pointy ends and stuff.
Yeah. I almost think that the is there in the classic era, Cass, is there a better representation of the Time Lord outfits than in this story? Because these kind of rule. They're like pretty intricate.
I don't remember what the ones in Deadly Assassin look like, but those are like, I don't know. Those are probably up there with these. Yeah,
these are really good though.
They
do look really good. They're intricate. They look like you know, like they're made by like 1980s Weta or something.
Yeah,
they're very intricate. There's a lot of details in them, which is cool.
The actors look non-embarrassing. You know,
yeah,
like Michael Gough looks like pretty metal.
Yeah, he does.
As this like ancient Time Lord.
Right.
So back on the TARDIS, the Doctor and Nyssa are. It's really cool. Like the Doctor's just doing spring cleaning. He's just doing chores.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you know, if you put it off, suddenly it's like 100 years later. And Scott and I were like, I like the idea of him being like that. That's him. He's like the Doctor. That's like, you know, I've been putting this off for like 4 regenerations.
Yeah. He just got this is the incarnation where he just gets a lot of things done around the house.
I've been meaning to like retile the floor. I've been meaning to like the pool needs to be resurfaced.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny that Nyssa is just like, well, if it was so easy, why did you put it off so much? And the Doctor's just like, you know, whatever. And then he just like walks away. And then she's like, but there's a bunch of other stuff you could be doing. And he's just like, yeah, that's enough for today.
No, I'm good. I did it. That's 6 Doctor's problem. It's like when you clean the house once.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but then he gets like this creature. I don't know why I'm not spoiling it for the listeners, but you know, like Omega's like trying to possess the Doctor, and he's like, ah, and like, so he's crossing the universe. He's crossing universes to possess the Doctor.
He looks like a bug themed Power Ranger.
Yeah, especially in the early episodes where we're just getting like holographic
Mhm.
projection of him.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he looks
For
like a
sure.
Power Ranger deity.
Mhm. I'm going to talk about the backpackers who are, I mean, based on that this first episode before Tegan comes in, because Tegan doesn't show up until the second episode. But before he gets taken away, Colin, these two, their names are Colin and what's the other guy's name?
Apparently his name is Robin, but I
Robin.
don't remember him saying it.
I don't
Yeah.
think he ever says his name.
Yeah.
He just says Colin a lot.
So Colin and Robin, definitely a couple. I mean, right? Like this is they are very romantically chummy.
I think they hooked up once, and then
Yeah.
Colin kind of regrets it.
Doesn't want to talk about
But
it.
now they're like stuck traveling together.
Yeah.
Oh, it happened like the first day of the trip,
Right.
and Colin was like, "Ah, crap."
What happens in
No, I
Amsterdam
should've-
stays in Amsterdam.
Should have done this at the end of the trip.
Yeah, but yes, before it all gets connected, and you realize like whose cousin Colin is. Colin. It sounded like Cullen the whole episode. I'm sorry, listeners. So I remember it as Cullen, but yeah. I thought the script was pulling what we were talking about last episode about how they'll you'll have to watch someone like stumble into their own death
Oh yeah.
for like half an episode.
Yeah. That doesn't tend to be Eric Sayward's move though. That he tends to be like, we're going to watch, they're going to be a major part of the plot. You're going to really like them. And then you're going to watch them as their skin melts off.
Yeah.
That's more Sayward's move.
Cool. Yeah, and then like they sleep underground. They can't afford a hotel or
in a crypt.
In a crypt, yeah,
Yeah.
like fully next to like a medieval Last Crusade crypt.
Yeah. These guys. I don't know. And yet, as we find out, they have reservations at a hostel, but for some reason they only booked it for 3 days, and they're going to be there for 4, and so they have to sneak into a crypt and sleep in a crypt for a night before their hostel reservations start.
That's
the
just what
next
your
day.
early 20s is like.
I guess so, man.
Well, we can only afford 3 nights.
Yeah. Man.
And then Colin gets zapped.
Right.
He gets disappeared.
Yeah, he gets disappeared. Colin Baker is playing this guy who is head of like the security council of Gallifrey, of the Time Lords, and so he looks like a
Yeah, Cass, what did you think of his costume?
Oh my god. It's kind of like generic I don't know, like space guard, but I really like his
Yeah.
like feather. His 2 foot long purple feather that sticks out of his helmet.
His 2 foot long bisexual flag feather. Yeah.
I thought when he put it on, he looked like a Dr. Seuss bird.
Yeah.
He really does.
He does.
He's like talking to the Lorax or something.
Yeah.
And he's totally Colin Baker. He's like pompous. He's like a little prissy. He's just like it's great when he's a villain.
Yeah.
Or like an antagonist.
Yeah. I am excited to cover him as the Doctor in the next story that we're covering. He's really good in that stuff. Cool.
Yes.
I think they sort of like reinvent him a little bit, and give him a little bit of a more doctory personality, and it's a lot better.
Oh, cool.
So I am looking forward to
because like we're already halfway there, right? We're already almost done with that Doctor's era.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're in his last season already. Yeah, and then
the Doctor gets like called to Gallifrey because they see Omega's, they don't know it's Omega yet, but they see his, I'm talking like Kevin Smith now. They see his, this like attempting to possess his body as like the Doctor's doing, like his fault. So the Doctor goes to like prove his innocence, but the Doctor's like, well, no, the only way he would even know how to hack my body is by having my like data, and to go to the data, to have my data, you have to go to the TARDIS like matrix, which I remember from Timeless Children.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
The the Time Lord Matrix.
But yeah, he's on Gallifrey, and they recognize that he's on Gallifrey, and so they send the guards out to him, and he finally runs into Colin Baker, and he's like, "Hello, I'm the Doctor," and Colin Baker just shoots him in the face.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's up there with Capaldi in the Pompeii episode, like really being into the TARDIS.
True. Very true.
Arc of Infinity Part 2. Written by Johnny Byrne. Directed by Ron Jones. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date January 5th, 1983. The stunned Doctor is brought back to the Time Lord High Council. The Council has issued a warrant of termination for the Doctor to ensure the creature won't be able to cross dimensions by taking possession of the Doctor's body. In the Me of Time, a Citadel technician named Damon provides the Council with evidence that the Doctor's biodata was indeed stolen. Back in Amsterdam, Robin meets Colin's cousin, who's none other than friend of the show, Tegan. The two head back to the crypt where the boys spent the night together to look for clues to Colin's disappearance. Back on Gallifrey, the Council carries out the warrant of termination, and the Doctor is executed, dead forever.
Yeah, the Doctor gets they okay. What the hell was that weird? Was that a hotel room or a TARDIS? The waiting room where they put the Doctor's unconscious body and where Nyssa hands him the orange juice with the crazy straw.
I actually don't know. It's hard to tell because it's like Time Lord stuff, so it all kind of looks like a TARDIS.
Yeah.
They have the little round things.
I
Yeah.
think it's his TARDIS. I think they're like, okay, just let him rest in there.
Oh,
in
right.
his own.
They do, but they take away the key so that like it's basically they convert his TARDIS into a jail cell essentially.
Yeah, that's interesting because now that I think about it, in episode 1, there's a part where the Doctor like goes out into the hallway in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
here's Nyssa be like, Doctor, and I'm like, whoa, I've never seen that ever.
Yeah. Yeah, you see a lot more of the TARDIS, I think, in the Fifth Doctor's era than any other era.
Because they all
Um,
have rooms and they like hang out in their rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the idea of the TARDIS as almost like the X-Men school.
Yeah. Yeah.
As, like there's or like Hogwarts, like there's rooms, there's reoccurring places.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I like that too.
And yeah, I really liked. It was kind of, I was watching this, I think the second episode, and I was like, this is kind of everything that I've dreamed of. It's a whole I've always just wanted a whole episode where they're on Gallifrey with the Time Lords going over stupid Time Lord arcane stuff.
Oh man. This is a pretty good one. In terms of Time Lord stuff, like most of the time, Time Lord stuff is super boring.
Yes.
I would say this might be, I mean, other than the Time Lord stuff in Trial of a Time Lord, but like not all those stories are good, but the Time Lord stuff tends to be pretty good in all of them.
Yes.
Yes. Other than that stuff, taken in a vacuum, I would say this is probably the second best Time Lord story. That's like in classic Who, opposite Deadly Assassin,
Yeah,
which is
I
easily
agree
the
with that.
best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's like unless you want to take the last episode of War Games and count that as its own thing. But I don't know. I would say this is up there though. This is at least top 5.
Yeah.
Maybe even top 3. Time Lord stuff. But like a lot of the Time Lord stuff is like super boring in a way that like makes you want to like crawl out of your skin. So you got a good one as your first one, I would say. Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the, it was kind of a trial. I mean, all of him, I like that they sucked. I like that they, the Time Lords aren't cool.
Mm-hmm. No, they're not. They're definitely not. And they're never depicted as cool. Really, ever.
No.
They're always depicted as lame old farts.
Because I think that's why, like, it's like, well, why would the Doctor have wanted to leave?
Right.
So every time he comes back, he's just like, oh, this again.
My hometown.
Yeah.
These idiots. They never listen to me. His relationship with the Time Lord Council was interesting, though, in this. I thought.
Is this
I don't know.
before or after he's president for a little while?
This would have been after,
After? Yeah.
right? Because that's Fourth Doctor, isn't it?
I can't remember. It must be.
Yeah, I think it is. No, this is good. I like the references to Romana
Mm-hmm.
and
Leela.
Leela. Yeah.
Speaking of bad Time Lord stories.
I like all of
Yeah,
that.
this is the one where we find out that that Colin is Tegan's cousin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They go to a whole ass airport.
Right. They do, and Tegan comes off of that plane, and you're like, oh, right, because she's a like a stewardess, yeah, or what's the other flight attendant?
Flight attendant?
Yeah, she's a flight attendant, and then you find out that she actually got fired, and we don't know why. We just know that she did get fired because at first she was like, oh yeah, like I don't work there anymore, but then later specifically she says she got sacked.
Mm-hmm.
Which suggests that she was fired. I guess she could have been like let go or like laid off, but I don't know. I don't remember the economy being particularly bad in the early 80s. So I feel like she probably got fired for something. I don't know.
How long was she gone?
I don't. Yeah, exactly. We don't know that either. Which means that we pointed this out. She paid for that flight to Amsterdam, which she's probably not used to doing.
Yeah.
So that's the subplot. Is they're like on the hunt. They go back to the hostel. They're like, where's my cousin?
Yeah, they're just like on the hunt, and basically Tegan's the only person who believes Robin because she's like, yeah, monsters. I know. I've seen it.
Monsters are real.
Yeah.
And then the sentence gets carried out back on Gallifrey, and the Doctor is proven to be responsible for what's happening or guilty for what's happening with this creature trying to, cross the arc of infinity, and he gets gassed to death.
Mm-hmm.
He gets executed.
It's funny because they're trying really hard. Colin Baker's trying his best to be intimidating, but he's not intimidating at all. He's just pompous and annoying.
It's big Javert energy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's played Javert at some point.
Yeah,
in like some staged version.
Yeah,
Some production of it. I know all these classic Who guys are big stage actors. But I also want to take this time to talk about how underrated of a performer Peter Davison is, I think, as a Doctor. He's really good.
Yeah.
There's
great.
a lot of stuff in this where he's just like, man, he is so good. Like his era is not the best era, which I think is why he gets kind of forgotten a lot. But he's really good. And I wish he had better. I wish he had more great stories. Granted, he has one of the absolute best, if not the absolute best, classic Who story, which we haven't covered yet, and won't for a very long time. But other than that one, all of them are like either like kind of good or middling or bad. But he is always very, very good, and he's excellent in this story. And I just kept thinking about him.
I think it's
watching it.
I think it's because he's like so mild mannered most of the time, but like I like that his Doctor is that way when forced like into like Eric Sayward situations, where it's just like people with their faces melting off. So
right. he reminds me of all the classic Who's. I think he reminds me the most of 13, and that like mild mannered, just decent, even temperament, blonde,
yeah,
earnest.
Yeah. One of my favorite Doctor uniforms also. I just really like, it's just very well put together. It's like the opposite of the Sixth Doctor's outfit.
Or even like the celery and the sweater and the question marks, it all like fits.
Yeah, it all goes together in like a really nice way. Anyway, he's dead now. So
anyway, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
No more Doctor Who.
No more Doctor Who. Show's over.
It's over. He was executed by the Time Lords.
Arc of Infinity, Part 3. Written by Johnny Byrne. Directed by Ron Jones. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date, January 11th, 1983. The Doctor awakes, his mind taken into the Time Lord Matrix. Lost in an ocean of pure, unbroken data, the Doctor is visited by the projection of the antimatter creature who reveals himself to be a renegade Time Lord. Tegan and Robin are captured inside of the crypt and brought to this renegade Time Lord's TARDIS. The creature uses Tegan to force the Doctor to obey him. His consciousness returns to his body on Gallifrey, and the Doctor reunites with Nyssa and the High Council. The Doctor's friend Hedon is revealed to be the one who stole the Doctor's biodata, and the renegade Time Lord is revealed to be Omega, pioneer of time travel and first of the Time Lords for now. Hedon is killed, but Omega is able to seize control of the Time Lord Matrix and crosses dimensions.
The Doctor's floating in an ethereal plane.
Oh God, yeah. So I don't think it's so. Yeah, he's in this like afterlife place where Omega is like interacting with him, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in the show.
Isn't he in the Matrix? He's just kind of
yeah, and he looks like he's in the Matrix chair.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's inside the Time Lord Matrix. That's right. And Omega's trying to contact him. And is this where he brings where like he captures Tegan and Robin at some point.
Yeah, they both get zapped because they go down to the
they go
down to the crypt to like clean up.
Oh my God, have we talked about the chicken alien thing?
Not yet.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
the chicken, there's so again
The
kind
chicken.
of a reoccurring motif. Omega has like a herald. Omega has like a right hand. And it's that you see it in shadow at first. It steps out of the shadow of the crypt and appears to Tegan and Robin.
Yeah.
And it looks like a chicken. It kind of, at first I was really excited because I thought it was the alligators that we were talking about last week.
Oh, yeah. No, it looks like Big Bird if you plucked all of his feathers.
Yeah, and he has like 5 eyes or something. Yeah,
like
it's really scary.
like first draft Skeksis.
Yeah.
Horrifying, truly.
I really like how Omega's eyes light up as it talks.
Oh yeah, kind of like a Dalek. Yeah. I the bird thing, the chicken thing though, apparently they like had all these bright ideas for it and then handed it to the special effects crew and they just whipped that out and they were like, okay, well, this is a failure, but we can't afford to make another one. So this is what we're getting. Because like apparently they didn't they pushed all the way and just finished the whole thing instead of like showing it to them in steps. They just went from concept to full execution. And then that's what it was. And they were like, oh, this sucks. This is bad.
Oh my God.
And that's why they tried to keep it in silhouette as much as possible
so
because they
funny.
were like embarrassed
Dude,
by it.
I love it. It's so silly.
Yeah, it is really silly.
And with the Doctor convulsing away in a digital afterlife, Nyssa has to she enlists the help of a non-Time Lord Gallifrey and Damon. And they're they go on they're trying to prove the Doctor's innocence, and like they do some business where they find his Matrix code printed out to show that someone had to send it to Omega. Some stuff. It's a lot of running back and forth in this one.
And also Nyssa's really trigger happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a gun lover in this story.
I thought she just shot a Time Lord guard, but then he was like, oh, he was like stunned.
Yeah, I think she had it always set to stun, but even still,
for sure,
it was a lot of gunfire.
It's a gun heavy episode.
It is all lasers though.
Yeah.
All
Laser
lasers
guns.
for sure.
Yeah, which is good. But
is this the one where we're so the whole time Omega has had a conspirator that is a Time Lord, but we don't know who it is? Is this the one where we find out who it is?
Yep,
it's Michael Go.
Yeah, it's Michael Go.
Surprise.
Alfred's evil. He's a traitor to the Time Lords.
And we haven't been mentioning this, but they really milk it where it's like, I hate all of you except my good friend Michael Goff.
Yeah, the whole time.
He'd never hurt me. You're right, I wouldn't.
He'd never hurt anyone.
I like you most of all. You're my favorite.
Fishy Swasser.
Yeah.
It's cold. It's fishy swamp. It's supposed to be cold.
The Doctor finds out that it's Michael Go. Michael Go tells the Doctor that it's Omega. He's like, and his mindset is like, he's the, okay, so I'm again, to bring up Timeless Children again. He was like, Omega was the first of us. He gave us the gift of time travel, and we betrayed him and sent him away to another universe. And I'm going to repay him. We owe that creature. And I'm thinking like, oh, wow, is this now retcon? Because now we know that the Omega is not the first, the person to give Gallifreyans the gift of time travel. That was the Timeless Child, a.k.a. the Doctor.
I thought the Doctor was regeneration, so Omega would still be time travel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Great. Cool. Fixed.
Nice.
So anyway, Alfred gets iced.
Yeah, like really unceremoniously.
Yeah. Iced, banished to being someone's butler for the rest of his life.
In another universe.
In another universe.
Mr. Wayne.
Where he will betray Batman's trust by telling Vicky Vale where the Batcave is.
Mhm. And then Omega gains control of the Matrix. Ruh-roh.
Dun, dun,
Ruh-roh
dun.
indeed.
Yep. That's that. That's that on that.
Arc of Infinity, Part 4. Written by Johnny Byrne. Directed by Ron Jones. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date, January 12th, 1983. The Doctor and Nyssa reunite with Tegan and take a rip-roaring tour through Amsterdam as they chase after Omega, who is able to temporarily take form of the Doctor wearing a blue jumpsuit. Eventually, Omega's flesh deteriorates, and the Doctor sends the primordial Time Lord back to the universe of antimatter. With her cousin safe and recovering in a Dutch general hospital, and her job as a flight attendant at an end, Tegan decides to join the Doctor as a companion once more.
The Doctor very quickly gets the Omega enters our world in Colin Baker's, not in Peter Davidson's body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first, Nyssa and the Doctor are like roaming around Amsterdam because apparently Amsterdam is the only place where he can.
So the Doctor tells the Time Lord Council, it's like, hey, I know Nyssa told me I know that he's on Earth because he has Nyssa, Tegan.
Right.
I know that he's on Amsterdam because they go back to the Matrix.
Yeah.
And they're both in the Matrix chair so they go back to Earth and they have to like go through every single hotel or brothel, hostel,
not a brothel. That's where everyone thought Tegan was from, but she wasn't actually. So. Poor Tegan.
Yeah. So they're like chasing Omega through the streets of Amsterdam for a good portion of the episode, I want to say.
Yeah. Lot of running around. I like seeing Peter Davison as Omega. I think that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Him turning into a frog face over the course of several runs. Just like every time you cut back to him, like more of his face is like frog-like.
Yeah.
Like scaly.
As soon as Omega apparates into our dimension, the Doctor is like, look, like it's not permanent. You're going to. He's like, no, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, it really is just like, the plot just sort of gets away from Omega. Like, that's kind of it. Like, they don't defeat Omega. Omega was just like, man, I really took this as far as I could, huh? Oh, well. And it just kind of fails.
Like Loki in the Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he just sort of fails. Not from like, he doesn't get outsmarted or anything. He just fails.
Yeah, the Doctor tells him what's going to happen. Omega doesn't listen, and then it just happens.
Yeah. That's something you don't see very often.
At one point, the fake Doctor, Omega as the Doctor, kills a random groundskeeper and steals his like jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott remarked that how good Pete Davidson, like, oh, that kind of like becomes him. Like he looks like a cool outfit for him. And then we were like, oh, a Doctor should have like a jumpsuit as a costume. And we were like, oh, why isn't that 13's costume?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because she's like Gadget and Rescue
Yeah,
Rangers.
yeah.
You know, she's like a tinkerer.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
So-
her
Yeah,
little
the fact that
goggles.
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah. The fact that the Doctor has never had like a jumpsuit as their outfit is actually feels weird in retrospect. Feels weird that hasn't happened yet.
Does the orange astronaut jumpsuit count? That like
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, that's not like a uniform.
I know, but
it's,
like,
it's an action
how many
figure for
Doctors
sure.
have
yeah.
worn that thing, dude?
3, right? 10, 11, and 12?
It must be.
Or is it just 10 and 12?
I think it's just 10 and 12.
Okay.
I for sure think of it as like a 10.
Yes.
Yeah. But 12 wears it in an episode, and it was like remarkable because it's like, oh, it's the same astronaut outfit. Yeah.
Like, ah.
Yeah. So maybe it's just 10 and 12, but
I can't picture
11
Matt Smith in that thing.
no, I guess
he
I
has
can't
like
either.
the cowboy hat.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, the fedora and the fez.
Yeah, the fedora and the fez.
Stetson. The Stetson
what it
and the
was.
fez.
But yeah, it kind of just ends, and the Doctor and Tegan and Nyssa have like a fun reunion where Tegan's like, and I'm back, by the way. And the Doctor has like a really weird reaction to it.
He thought he escaped
Right?
her.
He's
Yeah.
just like, oh,
He-
how about that?
He hates Tegan.
Remind me why?
She's annoying. All she does is complain. Like in the previous iteration of her, I guess when they brought her back, they wanted to give the 9 months because apparently the actress who plays Tegan was like tired of being annoying. And she was like, can I like go away for a while and then come back having matured a little
Good
bit?
for
And they're like,
her.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
that's
like,
awesome.
sure.
Her
so
haircut's
so she's
cute.
like more mature now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the haircut. She
I
got
like
a new
the
haircut.
haircut.
Yeah.
And Scott noticed the shout out to the actress playing Tegan for having a whole episode of running through the cobblestone streets of Amsterdam in heels.
Mhm.
Yeah. And keeping up with the Doctor who's wearing trainers.
Mhm.
Quite impressive, honestly. Like a Bryce Dallas Howard level of impressive.
She for sure
Impressive
gets the
use of running in heels.
The Howard Award for being forced to do uncomfortable and practical things in an action movie.
Right.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah. Anyway, the tiger the Tegan's back, but the Doctor is not into it. He's like, great. Fantastic. I always remembered this as being the introduction of Nissa's new outfit, but it's not. I guess that comes later,
Her new outfit?
right? Doesn't Nyssa get a second outfit? Isn't she wear like a skirt thing at some point?
She's introduced in like she has like the poofy shoulder pads with like the little fairy skirt, and then she like ditches
Oh.
the skirt after the story, and then she's like in a different
Okay.
outfit when she leaves. But
Right. That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is that outfit just in that story that she leaves
I
in?
think so. I don't remember.
Okay. For some reason, because I thought it was because it's a new season, I thought we were going to get her new outfit because I just think her outfit is just so stupid.
Yeah, no, she's in that like velour jumpsuit for like ever. It's terrible.
the velour jumpsuit with the massive pointy shoulders.
Yeah.
I like the puffy shoulders.
I miss her
Yeah.
little. She had like a little like a pastel tutu thing. Like when
Yes.
he first meets her.
It added a little more personality.
You
to
know
it.
what I like about Nyssa? Like everything you're saying and everything that I have like visual reference for, she has a very like witchy
Mm.
like quality to her that I
Mhm.
think separates her from a lot of companions of this era
Yeah.
that sometimes aren't given a lot to do.
Right. And not just her look, but like her personality is
Mhm.
also like, I understand everything that's going on. I am on your level, Doctor. Like you can explain anything to me and I'll get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a lot of this episode was the Doctor being, stuck in a digital afterlife or incapacitated or whatever, and Nyssa running around. It didn't feel like the episode was spinning wheels
Mhm.
or like just strapping her to a bomb. It felt like she was engaging into the mystery and figuring out more about this like culture.
Mhm. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I dug this one. If you're a new Whovian like me and you're kind of like have been like, I really want like a deep dive into like Time Lords and Gallifrey stuff, I think this is like a really fun place to start.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it gets a little too tangled up in itself with like the
Mhm.
Matrix stuff. But
Yeah, watching this without an introduction to I guess it was in Timeless Children, so people have a vague understanding of what the Matrix is.
It helped me like understand, and it
Right.
kind of it paired really well with Timeless Children for me.
Because the thing about the Matrix is you can't be told what the Matrix is.
yeah, you have to experience the Matrix.
you have to see it for yourself. That has to happen. There has to be like a YouTube cut of him in the Matrix chair in this episode.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope the Wachowskis watched this story or watched one of these classic Doctor Who stories with the Matrix and was like, the Matrix.
Look how weird he's sitting.
Yes. Yeah. That would be good. Cass, what are your overall thoughts on this particular story?
I couldn't remember what this one was until like the hitchhikers were walking around Amsterdam, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the one where they're in Amsterdam. So I guess I don't know, it's fine. I like Colin Baker. I forgot he was in this too, so he showed up, and I was just like, oh, it's our boy. So
Yeah. He has no conclusion.
No,
his
no,
character. He just stops being in it at a certain point. Yeah. I like this one. I think it's fun. I think it's on the top half of Peter Davison's stories in terms of quality.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. It's, it's middling in parts, but I think the Time Lords have like cool stuff to do. I like the sort of like whodunit plot. I think that's kind of fun. And as repetitive as it is, seeing them run around Amsterdam for 5 straight minutes, it's also fun at the same time. So, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. You're in Amsterdam. You want to shoot a bunch of Amsterdam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Totally understandable. And it kind of rules. I don't know. I think it's fun. I like it. I love, one thing we didn't mention in the last episode is that weird moment where Omega as Peter Davison, in the turtleneck and the jumpsuit.
Oh my God, just chilling
finds
with like the...
Yeah, like a little puppet show thing. Yeah. And he's just watching it with a smile on his face like, oh, this is entertaining. I like this. Oh no, my hands.
No, I forgot.
Yeah. And then he goes on the run. And he keeps trying to hide and people see him and scream. And that's how they know where he is. They just keep following the terrified Amsterdamians. Whatever you call, what do you call Amsterdam people? Amsterdams?
Amsterdamians?
I don't know.
Amsterdams?
Amsterdams. There's a part
The
where
Danish.
A lot of Amsterdams screaming.
there's a part at the end. Oh yeah, there's a part at the end where the doctor's like, "Oh, we lost him," and his like strategy is like, "I know exactly where you are,"
And then he runs again.
Yeah.
You're like,
there he is.
got him. It's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in this one. It's not the driest episode we've covered this season.
For sure. Looking at you, Sensorites. Yeah. I'll never stop looking at you. Except I never have to look at you again, which is a plus. Anyway.
A lot of fun. What's next up with the big fluffy cat doctor, Colin Baker?
So, if with the Sixth Doctor, we begin our the final season of the Sixth Doctor, which is the all-encompassing trial of a Time Lord.
Oh snap! Really?
Mhm.
Yep. So the show was canceled at the end of the last season and then uncanceled. And now we get Trial of a Time Lord, Part 1, The Mysterious Planet, written by Robert Holmes. So
I'm excited to start this saga.
oh man, it's fun. It's fun. And one of the things that I think, Nick, you're going to be really impressed by is the opening sequence of this story starts with the absolute coolest model shot in Classic Who.
Oh, I'm excited.
It is expensive. It looks expensive. I mean,
I love a model.
they were trying to reach a Star Wars level
Mhm.
in terms of budget, and Star Wars and Next Generation
Oh, cool.
had both sort of like started going, and they're like, we are behind. We need to catch up. And so they threw a bunch of money into this model shot. And it rules. And it's the last time that they ever do something that cool in Classic Who.
Great.
But yeah, so the Trial of a Time Lord Part 1, The Mysterious Planet, is what we're covering in the next episode of The Doctor's Companion. In the meantime, go check out duelinggenre.com/support, our Patreon page where you can become a patron. And if we hit our 100 patron goal, we'll be able to do a bonus show that will be voted on by our patrons. And one of those possibilities is a Doctor's Companion spin-off show where we would cover things like Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, as well as some of the Big Finish audio spin-offs. And that would be part of the main feed of the Doctor's Companion for as long as we're at that level on Patreon. So that would be for everybody. So everybody would get to enjoy that spin-off that spin-off series of the Doctor's Companion.
Even
So
the
if that's
Shibogans.
if that's something that you want, then go check out our Patreon page, duelinggenre.com/support, become a Patreon supporter of Dueling Genre, and help us get that bonus podcast going. But in the meantime, or not the meantime, actually, until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.